Hi Stacy, my name is Cassie Harkey. I am a third grade teacher at Waverly Intermediate, currently working on my master's in guidance counseling. I am in my second semester of the program, and these interview questions are for my career counseling class that I'm currently working on. Do you have any questions about me before we get started?
Nope.
Okay. Tell me about yourself. What would be important for me to know in order to understand you better?
I am going to be a senior this year at the University of Kentucky. I was raised in a small town in southern Ohio, so I go to college out of state. I'm a human nutrition major at the University of Kentucky, and I recently, just this past semester, the beginning of my junior year, added pre-PA to my major, so I have more requirements to take on this year to be able to apply to PA school in the spring.
What type of occupations were you aware of growing up?
My dad always worked in a business, so I knew the business side. That was something you could do, go to college for, get a business degree and work for a business or management or something along those lines. And then a lot of my family works in the education system. My mom was in a classroom for 15 years, and before she went back to get her master's degree in guidance counseling, and she's been a guidance counselor for the past 10 or so years. My uncle, her brother, also worked in a school system. He's been a principal, teacher. He's had many different roles in the education system. And my sister and cousin also went into the education system. So I'd say I was most aware of jobs in education and how good teachers' retirement is and their types of salaries and different things you can do with a degree in education.
Tell me a little bit about your work experience, past and present.
My first job was at a cafe that our family friends owned. So I was like a waitress there and a food runner. So that was my first real job after high school. In high school, I babysat a little bit, but that was about it. Last summer, I worked at the hospital in Portsmouth, and I worked as a nutrition aide, and I got a lot of experience with the dietitians at the hospital and what dietitians do, because that's when I was still pursuing just my degree in human nutrition. I think that job experience is what opened my eyes to realize I wanted to do something more outside of just the nutrition aspect of the patients, and that's when I added pre-PA to my major.
What is important to you in your career and what is not important?
Things that are important to me in my career is versatility, like being a PA. I'll be able to go to many different fields of medicine. I can work in orthopedics for 10 years, and if I want different hours or to experience different things, I can move to a different field of medicine, such as pediatrics. So that's important to me. Another thing that's important to me is that I'll be helping people. So that's kind of why I want to be in a hospital setting as a PA. It's also important to me that the salary will be enough that I'll be able to support my family and live how I want to live without having to worry about money. Things that aren't important is what people think of my career or how prestigious they think my career is. If I'm satisfied with what I'm doing and if I'm making the means to support my family, then that's all that's important to me.
Tell me about your cultural and ethnic background.
I'm from a very small, impoverished town in southern Ohio, so that's pretty much how I was raised. Although I came from a very wealthy family, I was able to see both sides of how less fortunate and fortunate families live because of the area I grew up in. My grandmother was full-blooded Italian, so we had kind of like that cultural aspect in our lives. And like I said, just the different socioeconomic backgrounds that I witnessed through even my own friends at my school. There's a large range of incomes in this town. I mean, we have very rich people and then the poorest of the poor, so that's kind of where I come from. I've seen a lot of sides of that socioeconomic spectrum.
Tell me about your religious or spiritual background.
I attended a private Catholic school from preschool to senior year, so 15, 16 years I was at a Catholic school where we went to religion class weekly, or daily. We went to church, mass weekly as a school, and I learned a lot about my faith through my religion classes. My mom made it a priority that we went to mass every Sunday in addition to going to mass during the week. So I've had a very strong religious aspect in my life, and my spiritual background I would consider very strong, especially compared to other college students my age who don't really have a spiritual or any type of religion aspect to their lives.
So how important is religion or spirituality in your life?
I would consider it very important because it's something that's always been a part of my life, so I don't know what it would be like without it, and it's just something I'm used to, and I incorporate it into my everyday life.
How is your religious, spiritual background related to your current career goals?
I would say that I know through my faith that I want to do something that's going to help people, and I know that I have a strong enough faith that anything I set my mind to I'll be able to do, and that's why going through PA school and getting into PA school isn't going to be easy, but I know that my faith is strong enough and God will help me get to where I need to be.
How has your family, both immediate and extended, influenced your career goals?
My family is very supportive. They've always, no goal is too high, so they've really encouraged me to take extra classes, get A's. C's are never acceptable. So they really set high goals for me and high expectations, and I've just always tried to reach those expectations so that they would be proud of me. And they're always there to support me. If I'm down about a bad grade, they're right there to pick me back up and let me know that one bad grade isn't going to affect it, and just give me the motivation and the encouragement I need to work that much harder on the next test or whatever it may be.
Do your career goals match or conflict with your family's expectations?
I would say they match. I mean, I'm trying to go as high as I can. PA school is the highest goal I have for myself, and ultimately becoming a PA one day. So I would say that would definitely meet the expectations of my family. It's kind of hard for some of them to understand the classes I take because, like I said, everyone in my family was like into business or in the education field, so we haven't had some of the same classes, and they don't understand there. Whereas my sister, who went into education, my mom and our family could relate more to the classes she was in.
Who are some of the people in your community and or the larger society, such as teachers, neighbors, religious leaders, grandparents, athletes, etc., who have influenced your career goals, and why?
There were a couple of dietitians I reached out to in the community while I was still just solely a human nutrition major, and I kind of talked to them about maybe I want to do something greater, and they are really good mentors to me. And even though they were dietitians and loved their career and let me come shadow them and get a lot of experience as dietitians, they always pursued me to, reach higher if that was something I wanted to do. I actually was shadowing a dietitian last summer, and we were in the office, and I was asking her questions because I was really interested in a patient. She said, as a dietitian, I'm not allowed to access that information, and that was one of the key things that stuck out to me, that I knew I wanted to do something besides just dietetics. So I'd say that finding a mentor that was in the field I initially thought I wanted to study was really influential to me. And my brother-in-law is also a PA, and he's really been able to help me and get me ideas for things I can do to build my application and suggest different PA schools to look into. I can talk to him about the classes I'm in because he's taken them all, and he's working as a PA now. He's actually given me a couple connections to shadow PAs this summer because shadowing hours are really important on your PA school application. And even though he's in oncology and that's not one of my fields of interest, he's been able to help me make connections with PAs he knows that are in my field of interest. Like I'm going to job shadow in the emergency department and in orthopedic surgery this summer with one of his close friends.
As a person who is white, female, and younger, what do you see as your greatest challenge and greatest asset to pursuing your career goals?
As a female who is still young, it's really difficult to get into PA schools because PAs are still, and most medical professions, with the exceptions of nurses, are all male dominant right now. So that's kind of like a thing you have to overcome, and because when applications are being viewed, males just kind of are in superiority to females. So you really have to do things to make yourself stand out, especially against males. So I'm just constantly looking for things that add to my application to overcome that stereotype that medical professionals are typically males. So that's how I would, that's what I feel is my biggest challenge in pursuing my career goal as a PA.
We've covered a lot of information today. Is there anything you would like to add? Perhaps we missed some information that you would like to share.
Good.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.